Today we are in a 2009 Base Cayman, 265 horsepower, and I don't even know how much torque. And I bought this car in February of 2019. So it's almost 2 years, a couple months away from being 2 years. I got a screaming good deal on this car. The car is very good top end wise. Once you start getting above 4,000 RPM, it'll sing, it'll scream, it'll go fast, whatever you want to do. But I have to make a statement about a lot of things that I see or read or online in other videos and other car people and just somebody else's opinion, I guess it would be. And there's a lot of them out there, you know. But so many people instantly write off the Base Cayman like they're Mario Andretti and they're going to use every inch of a car. This car is way more than 80% of the population that are driving right now. And of those 80%, 79% of those are like, hey, I'm better driving than that. And we all know those people. I'm going to leave it at that. So this is a 2009 Base Cayman 6-speed manual, a 987.2 in ruby red metallic. When I purchased it, it had almost 23,000 miles, 22 something. Right now it's got 32. So there you have it. Done about 10,000 miles in about 2 years. It's not my daily or anything like that, but I tend to drive this car a lot more than I would have thought I would have. And when I originally purchased this car, the plan was just to drive it for a while and flip it. And then after I drove it, I realized I really liked this car. And I had test drove a bunch of cars. I had my heart set on an S model, and I just couldn't find everything that I was looking for the price that I wanted to spend. You know, I had a set amount that I was going to spend no matter what, because this is just another toy that, you know, it's a want and not a need. So I set the budget and I couldn't find anything. And I have two classes of cars that I found while I was looking, and I looked at a lot of them, were the ones that had all kinds of crazy mods and the speed out of them, or excuse me, the snot beat out of them. And then other ones that were pristine and well taken care of, and you know this guy is a Porsche guy that really gets into his vehicles. And everything was meticulous and clean, but they wanted a lot of money for them. And I don't blame them, you know. I would want a lot of money for this if I ever was going to sell it. Just the way it works out. When you come across something that you bond with immediately, or it speaks to you in a way, you know that it is a vehicle that's for you. And I've had that happen on motorcycles and cars. The Viper was one. I'm sure it happens to people with boats and planes and anything else that you could want, you know. For me, it's cars and motorcycles, things like that. I can't blame somebody for doing the same thing I would do. But some of these guys were, you know, at the time it seemed unreasonable, but now, a couple years later, after COVID and all this other crap and the crazy prices of used cars and new cars right now, it doesn't seem so crazy. So those people were thinking those numbers were high then, and if they could get it, great, because none of these guys really were you know, highly motivated to sell their cars. I've been in situations where somebody needed to get rid of something, and this was what they were willing to do. None of these guys I talked to were in that situation, except for the guys that had the cars that I didn't want. So this Cayman has been a great vehicle for me. I immediately bonded with it, and I could tell just driving it for short bursts in the beginning, you know, 100 miles here, 100 miles there, that this car was very suited to what I wanted. The biggest drawback it has is it's got no low-end grunt. You know what I mean? You're not going to pull a whole shot. It's quick. It's quicker than a lot of cars, but it isn't a, off the line type car. It takes a little bit of oomph to spin up past 3.5 or 4 before it really starts getting into its own. It's flooring it every year. Everyday car, I could easily, like if for some reason I didn't have to work and had unlimited funds, I could easily drive this car every day, even in the summer rainy season down here, and I wouldn't have a problem, at least the way it is. I would have a problem because I wouldn't want it to get wet and stuff, but I wouldn't have a problem getting around in it. It's very predictable. It's easy to manipulate on the road. You can change mid-corner. It's like a sport bike where you can make decisions as you go and not have to pre-plan like the Viper. Very forgiving. When it's up and singing in the 4 to 5,000 RPMs, it really, it's got a great sound and it flies pretty good. But it's only 265 horsepower, so you have to take it for what it's worth. It does move out up in the high end, though. You can really fly around at some. Triple-digit speeds if you're so inclined. And it does it, like right now, I'm in 4th gear, just kind of loping along at 50. Not out trying to beat it, and it's perfectly happy here. 3,000 RPM, it's fine. So I specifically came down this road because this is one of the worst roads I know about in the area. And I wanted to see what this car was going to do on it. And it actually isn't bad with the stock suspension and these 18-inch wheels. Not as jarring as the Viper, especially now that the Viper's got the BCs on there. It's really stiff. Handles great and feels great, but it's definitely stiff. This is on a 0 to 100 scale. I'm going to give this like a 75 or an 80. Stiff enough for a spirited drive, but not so stiff that you wouldn't want to be in it all the time. Driving position in this car is perfect. Adjustable steering wheel, seats fully adjustable. You can get comfortable in this car easily. And I do. So why do I like this car so much? It's very nimble. It's very sport bike-like. It's flickable. It's predictable. It's controllable. All those things are a plus in this steering department. Handling, all that is phenomenal. You can't complain about it. The shifter, once I get some new cables on here, I think everything will be great. And I'll probably upgrade the shifter. It's very nice and very good right now, but can probably be a little better. But for just general driving, there's nothing wrong with this at all. In fact, it's one of the best stock shifters and stocked shifting cars that I've ever driven. The sound of the car, the exhaust note is perfect. It suits this car. Could be a little bit louder. But as far as the sound of it, and it's very deadened right now since I put the material on the car. And I'll talk about that in a second. So at the beginning of the pandemic, my headliner drooped. Right as this whole thing was going on. So I yanked it out, and I was going to redo it myself, but a buddy of mine who has an upholstery shop said, hey, you know, I've got some material. If you want to try it, I'll do it for free. And let me know what you think. So I had this material put on. Everywhere in the back here, the hatch, all up there by the, and he had to do the doors in a different type of material to keep them, to make sure they would open and close. But I'm not really a big fan of this material. It's definitely better than the crappy paint that's there. But I think I'm going to go all leather. A car like this deserves better than this crappy type paint. And the console and everything, it's got to be done. I'd also like to change these plastic pieces into something a little nicer. They scratch easy as well. The car is fairly clean still. So I changed it over to this fabric type material. The paint was the same as this rubberized type paint, and it's just so easy to mar and get destroyed. You can see on this console right here, there on the door, the paint is just old and crappy. Here's the material, as you can see. It's like a headliner type material. I see that thing's popping out over there. So another thing I did was I changed out the interior lights to LEDs, and I went with blue LEDs in the door. I went with laser white up in the map lights, and the back lights are also blue. And it's really nice, especially at night. It gives just the right amount of light. And why I did what I did and how I, got into a whole thing thanks to the crappy paint. And it's going to get into a whole lot more because of that same crappy paint. How can you not like that sound? If you're a red-blooded human being who appreciates any kind of mechanical music, you've got to like that sound. The Cayman is very predictable. It's a very capable car, even in its base form. You can always have more horsepower. I always understand that. I agree with it. But for what it is, and for 90% of the people out there, if not 95% of the people out there, it is more than adequate for what they think they should need a car. And it's a lot more fun. Get yourself a reasonable version of one that somebody hasn't beat the snot out of or destroyed in other ways, and you should be fine. Look online, find out what it needs, what some of the weaknesses are, know what to look for when you're out there. The best info you have is for free. But take a look at a Base Cayman. Take a drive, spend a little time with one, and you're going to be pleasantly surprised at just how much fun a car like this can. Especially when you got a day like today where you can just get out and 4,000 RPM in third gear, nail it. That should get your blood pumping a little if you like mechanical music. Right now I've removed the engine cover top. Going to need to remove the carpet behind the seats and then the panel. Now the seat carpet has been removed. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, and it looks like those two might have to come out as well. The air to oil separator is located right here. It's going to be a tight fit. I did see somebody online doing it. I believe they removed this as well to give themselves a little more clearance here.